Hi, so today's going to be a pretty serious video, and I just want to give a quick trigger warning for mentions of the topics I'm going to list here. I obviously won't say them, but if you find yourself at any point in this video feeling uncomfortable or this could possibly trigger you in some way, these topics, I suggest you click off. I would rather you prioritize your mental health first, and then maybe come back to this video at some point. But again, think for you first. That's why I'm giving this warning. I also want to mention that I'm going to be reading off of a script for most of this video. I will get to a section talking about myself, which is where I will probably start to ramble a little bit. But for most of the video, if you see me looking off, it's because I'm looking at a script. I'm making a script for this video in specific so I stay on topic and I can express all of my thoughts without rambling and possibly saying something that could be taken the wrong way because this topic does make me angry and I was going to make a video just out of pure anger, but I'm going to refrain from doing that by staying on script. So bear with me as I read this. On November 13th, a post was made by the family members of a popular cosplayer on the Instagram and TikTok sphere known as Squidkid1111 to inform people of their recent passing. Squidkid, also known as Ashley, was a very beloved member of the cosplay community on TikTok who loved to share their work with others. They inspired many across their college campus and participated in many clubs, conventions, and other social gatherings. They were a loved anime and gaming cosplayer, specifically known for cosplaying characters from the game Genshin Impact, and was a person who aimed to connect people through their work. And a virtual service was held for them these past 2 weeks. Out of respect for the family and Ash themselves, I will not be making any direct comments or accusations about their passing. However, the family did attest to an influx of racist harassment and bullying that Ash experienced leading up to their passing, which I will be speaking on today. I personally did not know Ashley before their passing, but I do know that Ashley and I had 5 things in common. We are black, we love to cosplay, we love anime, we love video games, and we carry the same burdens as all black cosplayers do. I was going to make a video out of just sadness and pure anger towards the anime, gaming, and cosplay community, not only for its lack of empathy in the wake of their passing, but the big elephant in the room that nobody likes to address, which is racism. And I was ready to list accounts, directly blame others, and the like. But today I'm not going to do that. Instead, I want to talk a little bit about my experience as a black cosplayer and tell you guys why somebody like Ashley is so unbelievably important in the space of gaming, in the space of anime, in the space of cosplay. I've been a cosplayer since 2020, so it's been about 5 years since I started dressing up. But my longing or my inclination to start cosplaying started way, way earlier. And I'm talking maybe going in towards middle school. So you could technically say elementary school. Ever since I was a kid, I remember being into anime and video games. I played video games pretty much every single day. I watched anime pretty much as soon as I came home. One of my first and favorite animes that I was obsessed with at the time was Attack on Titan. I knew a lot of my friends weren't into it, anime and video games, compared to now. If you're watching this and you're a little bit younger, it was not as accepting. I promise you, people were very much getting bullied over the fact that they watched anime, or at least getting like socially outcasted in some way for liking these things. And now it's like completely mainstream, and people are getting more open to it and everything, which I love. But you have to understand, like back when I was a kid, it was just it wasn't seen as something as really cool. It's especially not seen as cool for a young black girl. And an issue that we don't talk about really in the black community is how we have members of this community that get socially ousted for having interests that don't are going beyond the black stereotype or what society likes to deem to us. So if you are into anime or you are into dolls or you're into video games and things of that nature, really nerdy stuff, D&D, you name it. We don't talk about how we have the tendency to socially oust those kinds of people. As somebody who experienced that growing up and also being in predominantly white spaces because those are my interests and because those are the only people that were accepting of those things and the only people who would kind of listen to me about it and not get annoyed or eye roll or whatever, because of that, it makes it very easy for some people to kind of like go off the deep end and develop some kind of resentment towards their own race for not being accepting towards them. And it also makes you seem like you are the oddball out. Like there's something wrong with you. There's something in some cases I felt like there was something mentally wrong with me because I would sit in spaces with my own race, my own people, and it was like I was trying to communicate these things that I loved, and for some reason it kept getting shut down and called weird and like, oh, so I'm like, you're into that because you're like a white girl or something. Like they would attribute these things that I liked to whiteness. And it made it very difficult for me to share any of those interests or even make friends that were interested in those kinds of things. I never had a one black friend growing up as a kid who was interested in those things and I could talk to about. And it was always somebody who was either white or of a of a different minority. Like it's and it just it sucks. It distances you. It makes you feel like you almost like you're not even your own race because they're attributing something that you like to something that is completely unchangeable about you, right? Um so I felt very socially ostracized and kind of outcasted in that way. And I think that's something we don't talk about and we don't listen to enough. And it permeates the way that I navigate the world to this day. And it took a lot of introspection to get over that hump because I did not have people who looked like me in my own circle. And I feel like that really needs to be talked about more. So because I was socially ousted, or I felt socially ousted and people were socially ousting me. Um most of my companionship about those kinds of things were either kept to myself or shared with somebody who is not a minority pretty much. And somebody who doesn't look like me. And or what I did was resort to the internet a lot. And I looked up videos of Attack on Titan like all the time. Attack on Titan was my first ever anime that I was super obsessed with, super into, and I used to watch videos online all the time, all the dubs, all the parodies, everything you could think of. Like Tokyo Ghoul was really popular around this time, and Iwatobi Swim Club. Like I was into all of those things. And in a way, it felt comforting as somebody who is and has alternative interests as a black person. It felt very comforting to know that I wasn't alone. Like somebody else gets this, even though I might not know who they are. They get it, and they get the humor and stuff like that. And I can almost confide in that. I had things like Instagram where I made my anime account and things of that nature. And when I was in these periods where I would just stay in my room and just go on YouTube and Instagram and all these other places, Tumblr, you name it, to get that sense of like social connection. I came across these videos and it was of people dressing up like the characters in my favorite anime, which was Attack on Titan. They were dressing like Levi and Aaron, and I was like, what is this? And I look at the title of the video and it's, it's a skit. It's a skit. It's supposed to be like this whole entire little like jokey skit about the anime and how the characters would interact with each other in real life. And I found it so funny and I see the term cosplay. I don't remember the channel's name in particular, but it was just these group of people just like dressing up as these Attack on Titan characters and like having fun and like, breaking character when they break script or something on the video. Like it it seems so fun. And I remember thinking to myself when watching these as a kid, 'cause I was obsessed with them, I was like, wow, wouldn't it be cool to do something like that? Like, it would be cool to have some people who look like you and who speak the same language as you and are just as nerdy as you and like all these interests and stuff like that. And they come together to make something funny like a skit, or maybe they go to a convention and like practice a routine or something like that. Like, I just became like so it felt so comforting. I was like, this is I felt a part of it almost. And I remember one particular video from this creator where there was one black person in their video. And I didn't think about it at the time, really. I was just kind of like, oh, that's cool or whatever. But I didn't think about it at the time. But seeing that one black Kirishima cosplayer, okay, like something about that for me was like, oh, so it's possible. Even though I did notice before anything, they were the only black person out of a completely white group, I'm assuming. Um, I still found beauty in the fact that they could find people that had the same interests as them and they could all dress up as like the silly characters that they love so much. So I started thinking to myself, and I'm still watching more animes. I started watching Penny and Stalking, like Black Butler, things of that nature, Death Note. And I'm starting to ideate to myself, I'm like, okay, which character would I want to be someday? Like, I start actually talking about it. Like, I start talking to my parents about it and like possibly getting a cosplay. And I remember the first one I wanted to do was, I believe it was Stalking Anarchy from Panty and Stalking. I wanted to do Stalking so bad because I felt like I related to her the most, and it didn't go through. Obviously, it's an inappropriate anime for a kid to be cosplaying, so it didn't go through. But I had that hope. I clung on to that hope, and I would go on Amazon and like put all these things in the cart, all these wigs, and like me wanting to do like a female version of like Kaneki from Tokyo Ghoul. Like I had a plan. I was going to do it one day when I got enough money. When I got that job, I was gonna cosplay. I was gonna do it, and kept watching these videos growing up. And obviously, I get into high school, and like it just kind of ended up being like a secret. I didn't really tell anybody I wanted to cosplay. Up to that point in my life, the only example I had of a black cosplayer was that Kirishima cosplayer. I kind of looked up to them and I was like, okay, if they can do this and they looked great doing this, even with having like a red wig, they looked great in it. I was like, okay, so it'll look great on me too because that's the type of like intimacy you kind of get with having people that look like you in a cosplay space. Is you get to see what these crazy hair colors look like on somebody that looks is darker complexion, and it looks great. I thought they did a really good job, so it gave me hope. So I kept that in the back of my mind. But the two really big instances that made me kind of aware of my race to that point, I will share with you right now. I think the first realization for me was realizing I don't have any friends that are, let alone into anime and gaming, right? Like video games. What makes me think I'm gonna get them into cosplay? I don't know anybody who wants to cosplay with me or do this kind of thing. And whenever I'd post things on my Instagram, maybe related to cosplay potentially, or just anime in general, the people that I considered my friends at the time just made me feel so, like, weird about it, like, "Oh, you're so weird, like, why would you wanna do that?" Like, that made me just it just put me off of the idea entirely. Another instance was, when I was dressing up for Halloween, and I dressed up as Freddy Fazbear. I love FNAF, I've been there since 2014, okay, before the merch was there, but I was day oneer. I wanted to dress up as Freddy Fazbear, and I was so excited to cosplay Freddy Fazbear. And nobody knew who that character was at the time, and I handmade it and everything. And I would just go up, like, I remember going up door to door, and one, it's an experience to like have nobody like know who you are, like, or whatever, like on Halloween night. That's it's not the point of me saying this, but it also made me feel very weird, the fact that I had to like pull up a picture to my friends who were just dressed up as like normal, like cutesy little witches or like whatever. Um, and like show them what I was and them just go, "Oh, that's what you are?" Like it just felt like it felt kind of like a humiliation ritual. I remember going up to this one man's house and he was like, "Oh, so you're a bear in a hat." Like it just I didn't even realize at the time that was my first form of cosplaying, really, but it just I felt a little bit weak. I felt a little bit weak, and even with me being excited with how the cosplay like turned out, like was like I was planning it in my head and like getting it onto paper and then making my headband and my hat. When I put it on, I felt great, but I don't know if I imagined something like crazier in my head, like, other professional cosplayers, but it wasn't exactly the way I pictured it being, and in tandem with the responses that I got, especially again being somebody who is black and into these alternative interests, people just look at you funny. That kind of put me off. And then the instant that I was going to cosplay and I actually got my hands on a wig, on a color, like on a this bright pink wig. I was going to play Yuno Gasi from Future Diary and ordered the wig using like this random gift card. And it sat in my room all day, and I was like, "Whoa, I'm gonna do this!" Like I remember like my heart pounding. I was like, "I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm actually gonna put on a cosplay wig." And I put it on, and I look in the mirror, and I just think I look like crazy. Like I don't think I look good like at all. And granted, my face wasn't put together or anything, but I even then I just didn't feel good about the way the hair looked on my complexion. And that's all a result of what I've experienced my whole life. People like making fun of black women for wanting, like really like off, like crazy colors of hair and stuff like that. They get on you for that kind of thing, and they call you ghetto, and they call it like making it try to seem like you're trying to be another race. You're white, you're this, you're that, because people just think of those kinds of interests as white and not anything that a black person could possibly do. So I remember looking in that mirror and I was just like, I just look so silly. I can't do it. And I put it back in the bag and I just didn't cosplay. Fast forward to 2020, we're in lockdown and I'm just in my room, catching up on all my other interests. I'm still playing video games at this point. I'm still catching up on anime. I'm drawing, I'm doing whatever creative thing I can think of. And I ended up creating my TikTok account. But I remember during that time that everybody was just so adamant on being different, right? Everyone was so like everyone was under the impression that the world was going to end, so you might as well be yourself and do what you want to do, and like obviously buy into all these crazy little trends and stuff like that, Y2K, e-girl makeup, like things like that. And it was just, I think I started engaging with that stuff, one because I was already interested in it leading up to that point, but like it was kind of refreshing to see people just doing whatever, like wearing these like really cool like fashions that you would never see like in everyday life and stuff like that. Like people were actually being their authentic selves and talking about anime. I remember anime being like a crazy thing on TikTok, and like, all of the little silhouette trends and, all of the little dance animations for Haiku, like, and like, and making fun of like Bakugo and things like that for My Hero Academia, like all the Your Name story edits and stuff like that. Like it actually felt like anime for once was popular. For once there was a bunch of people who were speaking my language and knew what I was talking about. And lo and behold, like, I'm scrolling and like I'm getting like inspiration from all these people, and I obviously start posting more on my page, like things that I'm interested in. And then I see black cosplayers and they look amazing. They're doing transitions into their cosplay and like, using their braids for like, you know, for the cosplay of the character, like, Rengoku or like Mitsuri, you name it. Like there was just so many people that looked like me doing exactly what I wanted to do. And for the first time in my life, I felt confident enough to like start evaluating myself and my interests and start giving myself that validation that I can be black and I can be into these things. And, I start working on my self confidence, on my looks and everything like that. And even before then, because of me being able to see diversity in a space where I never got to see it as a kid, it inspired me to put on my first cosplay. And my first cosplay was female version of Denki Kaminari from My Hero Academia. And I was scared. Like I had those little edits of those videos in my draft for a minute on TikTok thinking, I'm exposing myself here. Like I even think I put it in the first caption of that video. I'm exposing myself. Like I want to be a cosplayer. Um and people from my school were following me and people that I know were following me, and I was concerned about what they would think about me. To an extent I was very scared, and I was scared obviously putting on that wig for the first time and seeing myself in it and being scared that I'm going to feel the same way I did about the cosplay attempt. But this time I gave myself grace. Even when I thought I looked crazy, I did it anyway. Why? Because I saw somebody who looked like me who did it anyway. It gave me the confidence to post those drafts and to put on that cosplay and do my face and take pictures. And once I got the response of people actually being like, "Oh my gosh, you look so good. Like you look so nice." Like it felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. Like I can do this. I'm black and I can do this. I'm black and I can cosplay. I'm black and I can like video games. I'm black and I can like anime, and I can do it in peace without anybody making fun of me anymore. It felt so vindicating to see other people that looked like me in my space paving the way so little girls like who grew up like me can grow up in a better environment so they never have to feel like they can't be something, that they can't do something just because they were born into the wrong skin color. Like it was just such a breath of fresh air for once. And now you could have a whole generation of kids who never had to have the experience of just going on the internet to, like just going on the internet and having to find these little crawl spaces. Now it's mainstream. Now they can go out to anybody. Now they can make friends. Now they can make mutuals. Now they can go to conventions and, post their photos and no one's going to sit there and judge them as much anymore. So I just kept going. I redid my cosplay. I put on that wig even when I didn't exactly like the way I looked. And sure, you're gonna have those days where you don't like the cosplay and things like that. But what always makes it so much better is having somebody who looks like you, who talks like you, who walks like you, who has the same interests like you. It takes somebody like that. It takes somebody like a Squidkid to get up on here on a platform of people judging them and just be themselves to pave the way for others so they don't have to feel that. They don't have to feel that burden anymore of being weird, of being strange, of being white. They can just be black and they can be a cosplayer. They can be black and they can like anime. They can be black and they can be nerdy. They can be black and be a geek. They can be themselves like any other person should be able to do in this life. It felt like I finally found myself, like a missing part of my childhood. And even as the years went on and I cosplayed, I met some really amazing people and I was able to cosplay with them. And now I have amazing people in my life that share my interests. And I couldn't be happier. But even as people who are now able to cosplay and everyone's a little bit more open to you cosplaying and things like that, it doesn't erase the ugly that's underneath. And that's always that race will forever play a factor in the spaces that you're in. It permeates everything, including gaming, including anime. It's always been there. And even with TikTok being a thing and anime being mainstream and people of color cosplaying, that doesn't erase the damage that being racist does. It doesn't go away. Over the years, even with me cosplaying and people being extremely nice to me, you would get those one-off racist comments all the time, calling you a monkey, calling you the black version of a certain character, a black shinobu. I got called a nobu at some point in my life by somebody who was Hispanic, and then put in parentheses, "Oh, it's just a joke." I've been called maybe like every slur in the book. I've been told to kill myself. I've been called the hard ER all of my life. And knowing that the safe space that you've created for yourself, anime, cosplay, and things of that nature, to get away from those kinds of things and it still somehow manages to creep its way in is, you know, it's just something that you kind of, it sucks to say you get used to it, but you never do. You never really do. The one-off comments, the having to moderate, having to turn off your comment section because it got onto the wrong side of TikTok and now everybody's calling you a monkey or a primate or whatever the freak. You've got people telling you that you can't cosplay this certain character because you're black. Oh, I didn't know Yor was black. All in an attempt to make you feel worse than you already do, being in a space in which being a person of color is kind of seen as weird. But now, not only do you have to deal with that, you have to deal with the amount of racism and just blatant bigotry that has been cultivated by anime culture. Okay, that's not like this is not something that just kind of appeared one day on TikTok. This has been a boiling thing since the very beginning, even when we had like limited amount of black cosplayers who were willing to cosplay. It never goes away is what I'm trying to say. And it never goes away. And the hurt that it comes from never goes away either, because you will respond to them and say that's not kind, that's not nice, that's not whatever, like screw you, whoever you are. And they'll just justify it. They'll justify why you don't deserve to exist. They'll justify why you don't deserve to cosplay that character. That cosplayer is not white. Therefore, that they're not the character. It ruins a lot of stuff. I mean, gaming cosplays were no different. right? Gaming is no different in general. It's raised on a culture of making it seem like saying things like the N-word is just the gamer word. It's just a joke, guys. It's just a joke. It's just a way for me to get off my rage. Saying a racial slur that's been used to oppress people since the very beginning of time. Yeah, yeah, sure. It's a joke to you. It's a joke to everybody that's not experiencing it. It's a joke to everybody because you're not experiencing it. You can tell me to like put it away and be like, oh, just block them. Oh, it's not that big of a deal. Where like words don't hurt you and stuff like that. It's really not that serious. But how would you know it's not that serious? You're not me. You're not in my community. How would you know? How would you know how it feels to wake up one day, check your phone, thinking that you ate on a cosplay or something like that, and then somebody has the nerve to say that you don't deserve to be alive? How would you know how that feels? How can you sit there and tell me that blocking it is going to get better and stuff like that? Oh, you put yourself out on the internet for everybody to see and stuff like that. So therefore, you can't really do anything about it. It's just excuse after excuse after excuse to excuse blatant hatred towards people you don't even know, people who are going through things. It's a it's just an excuse. All it is an excuse. Block the troll. It's just a joke. It's just dark humor. It's an excuse. That's what it is. It's an excuse not to change. It's an excuse not to hold people accountable for the bigotry that they spew online. It's an excuse not to moderate more. It's an excuse to use people for content, to be a laughing stock. That's what it's an excuse for. Every time somebody says something like that. People like Squidkid deserve to be here on this earth and were born to cosplay because they represent people like me. They represent Black people with alternative interests who just want to be able to be accepted for what they like, regardless of what they look like. People like Squidkid made it possible for cosplayers like me. In all of that, they made it possible for somebody like me to look at them and be like, you are so pretty. You are so beautiful. I want to do exactly what you do. And it makes me angry that it takes somebody's death for people to realize that this is serious. If you are a member of the Black community, regardless of wherever you come from, what your interests are, if you aren't interested in alternative spaces, this is something you need to care about because it is somebody in your community that is facing the same kind of backlash, even with different interests. We all share that. We all share it. Racism permeates every single subculture and space in the world. Period. There's no arguing it. And whether we like it or not, that includes nerdy and alternative spaces. Protecting Black cosplayers in these spaces is not optional. It's required and should be non negotiable. These issues will not just get better by blocking and ignoring the trolls and having thicker skin on the internet. There are too many people who have left us early because we were too complacent to do anything about it. There are too many people who have passed on because we didn't have to take the time to listen to them and support them when they needed it. There are too many people who have felt like they didn't have a place here because we weren't making it possible for them. It's not on them, it's on us. It's on businesses, it's on moderators, it's on communities to provide the safeguards and hold people accountable. It's not just about clicking repost on a Black cosplayer's post. It's not just about speaking out after the tragedy has happened. It's not just about commenting, you look so magical, happy Black Visibility Day or happy Juneteenth. It's about creating an environment where racism, hatred, and discrimination are viewed as unacceptable behavior and cause for immediate consequence. Change comes with advocating for your fellow Black creators online and in person. If you see something going on at a convention, social gathering, or a club, say something. Tackle it in the moment that you see it. If someone's leaving a racist comment, report it, call it out, delete it. Make it known that cosplay, anime, and gaming have no place for discrimination. No matter how big or hurtful or small the comment may be, it's not a joke. It's someone else's life. It's someone else's very existence. If you have a platform, say something. If you host events, talk about it. Make a panel, have a moment of silence, support DEI initiatives, something. If you are mutuals with Black cosplayers, talk to them, listen to their struggles actively, and amplify them. Don't wait till tragedy strikes to start caring. Don't stop making a conscious effort. Don't stop talking about it just because they're gone and your grieving period has passed. I want every single Black cosplayer, even the ones who want to cosplay but are afraid to, the ones who just can't, the ones who are new, the ones who aren't accurate according to other people's standards. I want you all watching this to know that you are loved, you are creative, and you deserve to exist. Keep cosplaying, keep taking up space in these communities, keep creating spaces for us, and keep going for those who wanted to but can't anymore. I want to offer my condolences to Ash's family and loved ones. Because of somebody like Ash, I now have the confidence to go out and cosplay with my friends, my family, and I'm able to be the truest self that I can be because somebody like them paved the way for that. If there's any money generated from this video, I will be donating all of it next month to Dee Hirsch Mental Health Services. This is a nonprofit organization that was directly suggested to give money to by Ash's family. And essentially, what they do is provide mental health care and critical suicide prevention services. I will be posting the AdSense and the donation receipts to confirm that everything was donated. I would really encourage everyone in the gaming, anime, and cosplay sphere to either share this video or make their own video talking about this conversation because it matters to stand up for marginalized people within these communities. I don't want to stop hearing Ash's name. I want change to come, and that starts with spreading this story. I also want to say if you are a part of the Black community but aren't necessarily interested in anime or cosplay or anything nerdy of the like or any type of alternative interest, that should not matter to you for you to care about this. Because at the end of the day, this is another Black person who we have lost due to the system we have all experienced in our lifetime. They are a member of our community, therefore, we must care. I want you to tell someone you love them today because tomorrow is not promised to us. Thank you for watching this video in full if you've made it to the end of this. Rest in peace, Ashley. And again, I offer my fullest condolences to the family that lost them.